To learn means to be in a state of play, to live a life of curiosity, a life of inspiring one another, a life of connecting with each other, and a life of real conversations. Welcome to Natural Learning. Alright, I've got a really neat playful activity to give you today that will really help foster those four things of natural learning. So curiosity, co-inspiration, connection, and conversation. Let's just have a quick talk about connection. I hear a lot of people talking about quality time being better than quantity of time, and it's just simply not true. We need time with people, to be in the same room as them, to build up that connection that comes from close proximity. And so, yeah, this time that we've got at the moment, this is certainly a good time to build those closer connections. One of the other ways that we build relationships is, of course, through language and through conversations. A lot of what we learn is also based on language. We often think, obviously, in terms of words as well. And so the more words we know and we understand, the wider we can think, the more topics we can explore, and the better we can articulate more difficult concepts, both within our own heads and also to each other. So learning words and language is really important. However, we often put an overemphasis on reading, and we think that being able to read a word is to be able to understand a word, which isn't necessarily the same thing. And more than being able to just read a word, it is far more powerful being able to talk about a concept. And so again, simply being able to read a word on the page is not as powerful as being able to talk and have conversations about different concepts with people. And that's why it's so important that adults and children have conversations, and lots of conversations, so that children are introduced to and have the chance to hear the language that adults use. Also, as a teacher, I generally found that creating stories is often quite inaccessible for kids. They're asked often to write their own stories, but most of the time they take so long about it that they lose interest in their own stories. And so writing stories and creating stories can often be just an exercise really in frustration within the classroom context. But dice stories are different. They're great because you can create long, winding stories more easily as the adult is leading, and it's not really a written story so much. There is a little bit of writing involved, but not much. And the input that comes from the children is also really important and allows being part of creating stories to be far more accessible to kids. So yeah, I'm sure your kids will enjoy being part of creating the story, but without having to bear the full weight, the whole weight of actually carrying the story along. So yeah, what are these dice stories? So yeah, let's jump into dice stories. Here we go. Alrighty, so how these dice stories work is you get everybody together in a room, and you get a piece of paper, and you also get a die, and then what you do is you start naming some places that you can think of. So for instance, we might have number 1 as a forest. We might have number 2 as a cave. We might have number 3 as a mall. We might have number 4 as a mountain hut. And we might have number 5 as a castle. And number 6 we might have as a fire station. So you just get people to think of these sort of things and just call them out, and basically the first 6 answers go down. And then what you do is you take the die and roll it. And we end up getting a 2, so cave. Alright, so, and then you just start your story. One time there was a man called Freddy, and he lived underground in a cave. In fact, he had never seen the light of day before. He had always lived in a cave. And what he usually did in his cave is he would go down to the pond that was there, the mountain pond, the cave pond that was in near where he slept. And he would fish cave fish. He was very good at getting cave fish. But one day, as he went down to get cave fish, although of course it's kind of hard to figure out what one day is because he never saw the sun, but he decided to go down to the pond to try and catch some fish. But he couldn't find any fish anywhere. Something was wrong. And then he noticed the sound. Alright, so at this point, you can again do the next thing. So what you can do is ask, what sound did he hear? So people can come up with various things again. So maybe you get a growl, or two, it might be a low humming sound. Or three, it might be an explosion. Number four, drops coming from the cave roof. Five, some sort of yelling. Or six, someone calling for help. Alright, so again we just roll the die. Alright, so we got a 5. So Freddy heard some yelling. It was very faint in the distance. He wondered what it was. He could definitely hear other voices. But usually he lived by himself, so where were the other voices coming from? He turned around and walked away from the pond, going towards what he heard the sound to be. And so he started walking down a passage where he was getting closer and closer to the sound of the yelling. And he kept on going down these passages until he came close to a room. In the room he already saw a light, and so he shuffled sneakily up to the edge of along the passage, so he was just able to peek into the room. And there he saw a lot of people yelling and running about, and in the center of the room stood and again, so now you can think of some more things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So maybe in the center of the room stood a rocket. Or there might have been a big robot. Or a massive dinosaur. I'm going to spell it correctly. Some sort of machine, or there was some sort of test lab, or there was a deep, dark pool. And so you can think of all these options, and then you can carry on the story from there. I'm just going to, basically, again, you'd roll the die. So 3, so there was a dinosaur in the middle of the room. And you just keep on telling the story. And yeah, this is quite a challenge, obviously, even for grown-ups to keep a story going. But just make stuff up, just go with it. And the more you do it, the better you kind of get at it. But what it does is it allows you to tell a story and to use language with your children and to show them your creative side and inspire them with your creativity and the thoughts that you're able to think and everything like that. But it also allows them to input into the story and have a bit more ownership in the story as well and come up with various ideas, which keeps you on your toes as well. But yeah, I found that kids really do love this wee activity, and it's a good way to connect with people and to have this just a really fun sort of conversation, I guess, as you think about the various things that could keep on happening. Other things that you can also do is you can also do like even and odd. So even might be, for instance, say Freddie was going along a passageway and he could turn either left or right. So even might be left and odd might be right. I don't know. So you can also make things up like that. So you don't always need 6 options. So sometimes you just want an either or option. So yeah, just play around with this, have fun, and I really hope that you enjoy making dice stories. So yeah. Fantastic. I hope you really enjoy those dice stories. And if you do, just like I kind of did there, I kind of showed you obviously as I was writing. If you end up doing these dice stories, maybe send a snapshot of what you wrote down, how your story kind of went, what were the things that you numbered down, what were some of the ideas that came up. So if you take a photo of that and just paste it as a comment, that would be fantastic, and it'll be great to see what people have come up with. And okay, we only get to see the numbered sort of things, but we can maybe try and guess where the story kind of went. So that'll be kind of interesting. And then the other thing is, yeah, if you really enjoyed this activity, then give it a like, give this video a like, also share it. That would be fantastic. And yeah, and if you want to talk more about natural learning, I'll be sharing more about natural learning as such and giving you more activities and things like that. But if you're really keen to just talk with me personally about it, message me on Facebook, or yeah, hop onto my website, frankeducation.nz, and sign up for a free consultation, and I'd love to chat with you. All right, till next time, thanks, bye.